You're watching the biggest cross-border infiltration campaign in human history unfold in real time. Stop calling it China's internal affairs. From Buddhist communities in Australia and overseas police stations in Canada to secret outposts in New York and this year's security shocks across Europe, one hidden black line is binding governments, communities and ordinary people together. It's a machine, years in the making, operating across borders. And it has one mission: make dissent disappear, even abroad. How does it work? Through the gray zone. Religious organizations act as a cover, diaspora groups as shells for police stations, hackers tunneling into telecom backbones. Then lawfare to make repression look legal, surveillance normalized, intimidation institutionalized. In this video, I'm laying out the blueprint of that system. Next, we dive straight into hard cases and receipts. Ready? Let's begin. So, what is Beijing's endgame? It's crystal clear: monitor, infiltrate, and crush dissent overseas, from faith communities to exile activists, while bending local opinion and policy to its will. One might ask, why chase people who already fled? Because diaspora voices boomerang. They expose abuses to democracies, shape sanctions and debates, and undercut the regime's legitimacy back inside China. So the CCP's toolbox is dirty and wide: covert ops, spy networks, disinformation, bot politicians, lawfare, and threats. A full-on campaign of transnational repression. Not open diplomacy, not public sanctions. Secret police goes by another name. Restaurant front stations, law offices, community centers, kidnapping and intimidation on foreign soil. Let me give you an example. In 2024, New York City, Chen Jinping ran a PRC secret police station in Manhattan's Chinatown and helped to arrange mass pro-Beijing demonstrations outside the Reagan Library during the historic Tsai Ing-wen-Kevin McCarthy meeting. He pleaded guilty in late 2024 to acting as an unregistered foreign agent. Another gray zone play, this time in Australia. Beijing didn't show up as China. It allegedly recruited a Vietnamese Chinese businessman, Yang Yisheng, to meddle in domestic politics. But Australia has rules. You must register under the Lobbying Code of Conduct of the Foreign Influence Transparency Scheme, FITS. Say who you represent, what policy you are pushing. And what about political donations? Legal channels only. Full disclosure of amount, source and timing. No laundering influence through charity or sponsorship cover stories. And who is that Yang Yisheng guy? He's a Vietnamese-Chinese businessman, ex-Australian Liberal Party member, the number 2 in a federation of Chinese organizations across Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos, and chair of its Oceania branch. Those networks open doors regular contact with PRC officials and Australian politicians, including the PRC consulate in Melbourne. He even claimed advisory posts with 4 Chinese provincial bodies. Prosecutors say he donated $25,000 to the Royal Melbourne Hospital and used the association to reach then acting Minister of Multicultural Affairs, Alan Tudge, to bank goodwill for Beijing. They cite a letter urging a state Liberal official to treat China, not the United States, as Australia's primary strategic partner. And of course, there was no FITS registration, no disclosure, pushing PRC goals off the books. It's not just politicians. Beijing targets faith communities too. In Australia, a court has now recognized the first foreign interference case involving a religious group. Prosecutors say a PRC national with Australian permanent residency took encrypted orders and funding from Chinese public security, then secretly mapped the Guanyin Famen Buddhist community in Canberra. Branch locations, organizers' home addresses, front door photos, interior layouts, monitoring public events, radio operations, finances, even reporting sensitive political remarks. It's a direct hit on freedom of belief, in my opinion. In a democracy, faith spaces should be safe, independent, and free from state meddling. Yet Beijing's playbook is to break that firewall and turn religious communities into targets. Falun Gong has been in Beijing's crosshairs for years, even overseas. In the United States, proxies tried to strip Shenyun Performing Arts of its nonprofit status. In early 2023, Los Angeles-based John Chan and Lin Feng were charged for acting at the PRC's direction. They have been abusing the IRS whistleblower system, filing bogus complaints, and bribing someone they thought was an IRS staffer, actually an undercover FBI agent, with $5,000 in cash, promising more if the revocation succeeded. A U.S. court found them unregistered foreign agents. John Chang got 20 months in prison and $50,000 fine. Well, and Canada isn't spared either. In Quebec, Vancouver, and Toronto, Beijing set up clandestine outposts to watch and intimidate local Chinese communities. Some look like ordinary offices from the street, but inside they function as de facto secret police bases for transnational repression. This is illegal extraterritorial policing, and it doesn't just target dissidents, it punches straight through Canada's sovereignty and national security. Now let's go to Europe. April 2025, Sweden. Police arrests a Uyghur man suspected of working for PRC intelligence, tasked with monitoring the Uyghur community inside Sweden. And this isn't some random figure. He reportedly served for years as the Mandarin language spokesperson for the World Uyghur Congress. Prosecutors say he collected intelligence for Beijing. That's textbook transnational repression. The World Uyghur Congress is the main global umbrella for Uyghur rights. Uyghurs are a heavily prosecuted Muslim minority in China. And the question is, did this man just betray the Uyghur people, or he was planted from day one? Either way, it's chilling. You join a group to protect you, and Beijing still has eyes inside. And the scariest case right now is the Chinese mega embassy in London. It's a supersized spy hub wrapped in diplomacy, protected in part by legal immunities under UK law. I've broken this down in earlier videos, you can check those out for the full picture. But keep this in mind. It's not an embassy, it's an intelligence campus with a flag on top. And none of this is random. It's organized, systematized, long-haul transnational repression beyond politicians and diaspora groups, straight into the cyber domain. Let's take a look at what happened from February to November 2024. There was a PRC-linked crew dubbed CLSTA-0969, spent 10 months burrowed into multiple telecom operators across Southeast Asia and Middle East. Not smash and grab, nearly 10 teleco-grade tools rotated like master keys, malware to mirror traffic, track handset locations, and masquerade as legit processes. Logs wiped. The data was exfiltrated via covert protocols to stay invisible. The goals here are very blunt. Track officials and military. Follow targets, map calls and movement. Harvest intel, would it be political, economic, and military secrets. Plant backdoors. Stay embedded so you can flip the kill switch later. And the last one, of course, is leverage geopolitics. Control critical infrastructure, meaning bargaining power. In 2025, Europe becomes a front line of Chinese cyber attacks. The Czech Republic policy names APT-31 linked to China's MSS for a sustained breach of the foreign ministry's unclassified networks. The Czech Republic has labeled it as an attack on national critical infrastructure. And right now they're beefing up the communication security. Timeline matters here. Prague began toughening on China and back in Taiwan in 2018. By 2022, APT-31 was already burrowing in. Public attribution arrives in 2025, widely read as retaliation or warning. And note, the Czech Republic was also EU Council President, making their stance even louder. Beijing's surveillance ambition is the largest, widest, and most systematic in human history. And they don't even hide it. They've built the ideology to justify every step, turning global intel networks and cyber ops into a must-have for regime survival. Let's look at their playbook. Unrestricted warfare. War isn't just military, it's economy, tech, media, internet. They're all battlefields. Info control is a long game. Second, information warfare. The CCP is trying to seize information superiority to win the war, build a global surveillance intelligence grid. Then, their national security, can call it a holistic national security, because cybersecurity equals the regime security, so they push full spectrum, whole-of-chain monitoring. And of course there is three warfares: public opinion, psychological, and legal warfare, codified to shape narratives and weaponize the law worldwide. Finally, let's talk about the countermeasures. On July 31st, US lawmakers from both parties introduced the Transnational Repression Policy Act. It targets foreign regimes, including the CCP, that stalk, threaten, and silence people outside their borders. It orders prevention plans, ally coordination, and training so officials can spot surveillance and coercion tactics. Taiwan should mirror it. The CCP is the only power openly threatening to invade Taiwan. And it's a heavyweight. So no, these aren't random headlines from faraway places. This is a deliberate global campaign. If Beijing's reach can penetrate Australian temples, Canadian Chinese communities, US streets, and European ministries, who is next? If democracies don't link up and hit back, transnational repression becomes the new normal. And our job, yours and mine, is to use every legal tool to defend free speech, freedom of faith, and national sovereignty. Not just government business, it's citizens' business. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please press like, subscribe, and share. And remember that freedom is not free.